Welcome back to Sebring for our second day of coverage here from the 73rd Mobile One 12 Hours of Sebring. Today we set the grid for the Sebring 12 Hours, but it was also race day for the Michelin Pilot Challenge. And what was really cool, and something that I kind of kept from you guys yesterday, I tried to hint at it, but we weren't ready to announce it yet, but I did a little bit of a collaboration with IMSA today. They streamed the race live and free on YouTube, and I was participating in the chat at the request of IMSA. A lot of fun, a really exciting race, I thought. Caution-free, which is something that you usually don't see in Michelin Pilot. Just want to update you on what happened today. The number 39 Carbon BMW, which is actually pitted right behind us here, won the race overall and in the GS category. And a little bit of, I don't want to say that I had anything to do with it, but let's just say the fitness camp certainly helped out Hyundai and Brian Herta Autosport. They finished 1-2. The winners were the number 33 Hyundai TCR, Mark Wilkins and Bryson Morris, the drivers. Two good guys, by the way. It was great to see them end up in victory lane here at Sebring. Second in a row for a Hyundai this season. Something that I thought was really cool that we were able to film yesterday was something with Nick Tandy of Penske Porsche Motorsports. Now he completed the Grand Slam of 24-hour wins at Daytona, Nürburgring, Le Mans, and Spa. And he wants to win Sebring overall. It's something that he hasn't done. So I got the opportunity to ask Nick Tandy to show us around the Sebring Raceway circuit.
Nick Tandy here, driver of the number 7 Porsche Penske Motorsport 963, current championship leader after winning at Daytona, and I'm about to take you for a lap around Sebring. The lap starts with the bumpiest part of the track. So the run from the start-finish line into turn 1, some of the heaviest bumps on the circuit, it's part of the old runway. Luckily the track smoothens out a little bit as you get to the braking, and turn 1 it's the fastest corner on the track. And then the bumps start again on the exit, and this is where you see a lot of the cars if they have a snap of oversteer on the bumps. It's so easy at high speed to lose the car. One of my teammates had an accident there last year in qualifying, I believe, and it's easy to do, run wide, you're off on the dirt and you're straight in the wall, but it's a commitment corner, so it's one where you want to carry speed. It's lap time rewarding, but then it's a very short run into turn 3. Kind of where you start to see the fans start to congregate, grandstands on either side, and 3, 4 and 5 is quite technical section as we begin sector 2. Then we start to pick up speed again, the flat out run down to turn 7, and this is where you kind of pick your braking point, especially at night, between where you see people lined up on the inside that are on their, either having a barbecue or up on the stands on their RVs, or the people in the lights and stuff that you see on the hotel the other side. Lots of action down at 7. That's why you probably see a lot of people down there watching the race. The run from 7 to 10, which is our next braking zone, 8 and 9, they're kind of flat out corners. But if there's a street car coming the opposite direction to the flow of traffic on track, and they've got their headlights on, it blinds you. You see the car straight away, because the track is like this and the street is the other side of the fence coming this way. So it's just one of those things about Sebring that's typical, that's different about Sebring. Approaching turn 10, again, it's a very tricky braking zone. Good for passing, but easy again to make mistakes. You see a lot of cars lock up, run wide at 10, but it's crucial because I know in GT and also in GTP, I think LMP2 is probably a little bit easier to stay flat out, but it's very difficult to stay flat out on the exit of 10 all the way through 11, 12 and into 13. And yeah, it's a good place for action. It's where multi-class stuff mixes up a lot. And again, we see a lot of people there, especially in the night with the neon signs going around. You come out of 10 and you point into the crowd, and even in the car, you can see this sort of stuff, and it changes as the day goes from daylight to nighttime and stuff like this. It's part of what makes Sebring Sebring. Turn 13, it's a third gear corner in GTP. It's one of those, it's very rewarding if you get it right, but you have to be very accurate. So it's not one where you can really hustle the car. It's a one-line situation. You've got to get your braking point right, use all the track. Again, if you miss the apex by 2, 3, 4 inches, you're missing grip. So you've got to be very accurate, watch the exit curve because the track drops off on exit and you can quite easily land up in the dust. And then the flat out run, the kinks at sort of 14 before we approach braking at 15. Another very, very heavy braking area. The track has got good grip under braking. You know, we're third gear, so it's medium speed corners at 15, the right at 15, then the adjoining left where you have to ride all the curbs to try and keep the car to the inside of the track to open up 16, which is probably the most critical corner on the track. This is where we're at maximum speed, you know, up to 180 miles an hour, probably plus. Seventh gear, setting up, you've got a lot of time to think about the braking zone for 17, and this is the most fun bit of the circuit because it's so fast. The track is bumpy, but the corner, the entry, and the way you can approach 17, there's so many options. You can brake late and going tight, you can turn into the corner and then brake straight into the corner, you can brake towards the outside and then have a real big sweeping line. You tend to see a lot of the kind of, especially the LMP2 cars that are quite low weight and high downforce, they can take a much more sweeping line than, let's say, a heavier GTD car or even the GTP cars. We tend to try and maximise braking by braking in a straight line. You can only brake or turn and do so much of this. And 17 is one of those where you kind of never get it perfect. There can always be something different. You hope that you brake late enough. You hope that the car doesn't snap on entry. And then you get under the bridge where we cross the bridge under the flyover, and that's when the bumps start again. And you've got to have the car in control. The car can't be sliding at the rear. Ride the bumps, coming off the brake, keeping the car settled, and then feeding the power on. Trying to keep the car in check, have it not snap out on exit. Hope that the engineers and the mechanics have set the thing up well to ride the bumps, get on the power hard, and try not to get in the wall. But again, you've got to be maximising the track, skimming the tyres on the outside, trying to get a good exit, and coming across the line for a hot lap at Sebring.
So in qualifying, this is an important key to the race. I said it was going to be BMW versus Acura versus Porsche, and that's exactly what it's been. The number 24 BMW on the overall pole outside is the Meyer-Shank Racing number 60. The 7 and 6 Penskes, respectively, are in row 2, and potentially playing the spoiler tomorrow is the number 5 Proton Porsche 963. The other pole sitters were the number 11 TDS Oreca in P2, the number 21 AF Corsa Ferrari in GT AM, winning GT or qualifying fastest in GTD AM, overall fastest in the GTD category. And then in GTD Pro, it was the number 81 Dragon Speed Ferrari, which is run by Risi Competizione, or at least in collaboration with Risi Competizione, which is really cool. They made it. So, the other thing I think a lot of people are interested, that's the Porsche Cup, by the way. How cool. I think that's happened a few times. I think the last time that I did a video with Porsche Cup running was Long Beach a couple of years ago. There's the safety car. And everybody appreciated the noise. So, speaking of appreciating noise, one of the huge stories here this weekend is the debut of the Aston Martin Valkyrie, the V12-powered prototype Cosworth V12, just an amazing sound. Actually, it reminds me a lot of a kart motor. It's got that same tone. In fact, when it goes by, it almost sounds like Anakin Skywalker's pod racer. But more importantly, from a global sports car perspective, this is true convergence. We are finally seeing a car built to the European LMH regulations racing here in IMSA. And I had an opportunity today to speak with some of the folks associated with the Heart of Racing team, which runs the Aston Martin Valkyrie program, not only here in the States, but also in the World Endurance Championship. So I think this is a really cool insight into this program. We spoke to driver Alex Riberas and team manager Ian James.
Well, to be honest, it's first of all, insane opportunity by Heart of Racing and everybody at Aston Martin that did a tremendous job developing the Valkyrie. It's such a fun project to be part of, and to have a V12 naturally aspirated nowadays in 2025 is unheard of. So as we talked about before, 2 years ago we were like dreaming about this, and now it's a reality. So Qatar was a great experience and something that we learned a lot from. But to be honest, this car over here is a brand new car. It has nothing to do with the car from Qatar. So basically, yesterday when we went out in FP1, it had done probably like 10 miles of driving. So it was like completely brand new. So when you get a brand new car like that, there's always like different types of gremlins that you have to like sort of, sensors, recalibration, you know, all the protocols, and that's what we are basically in the middle of right now. But super excited about tomorrow and super excited about the whole project.
You mentioned yesterday, that was definitely something that I think most of us observed, was there was a lot of in and out laps, it was sorting things out, but as the weekend has progressed, I've actually been pretty impressed with the pace. You're right there with the rest of the GTPs. Was that the expectation going into this weekend, or are you guys kind of a little bit ahead of schedule right now?
Yeah, to be honest, we are not paying too much attention to the pace. I know it sounds weird coming from, you know, a racing environment, racing team. We are extremely competitive, but right now, the numbers, the speed, the pace is not the goal. We're here to learn as much as possible. The goal tomorrow is to do as much mileage as possible, ideally without issues, but we know that's honestly a bit unrealistic. We know we're going to encounter difficulties and setbacks, and how we react to those is how we are going to progress and learn about the car and use all that knowledge to get one step closer to where we want to be. Lap time wise, honestly, when you say what the expectation is, there is no expectation. We're just gonna go out there. Personally, as a driver, you just drive the wheels off the car like all over the bumps, and you're like, hopefully I make it on the other side of the bump, and everything is still in one piece.
So something that's different here at Sebring versus Qatar is that you had two cars in Qatar. You have one here. What's the difference, or have you been able to notice the difference in data sharing or just data accumulation with one car versus two, or is it not much of a difference?
To be honest, I would call like the team is a 3-car team, because there is a complete transparency between the WEC program and this program. So we're basically benefiting from one another constantly. So as long as one of the 3 cars is out on track on any testing or on any racing event, the entire program benefits from it. And I think that's actually a major like advantage, I would say, from this program, because we are able to look at it from it's just a big team, a big umbrella of Heart of Racing and Aston Martin that is basically with all of the personnel that we have, which we have a lot of highly talented individuals. We're all pushing towards one same goal. So I think we are very grateful and very lucky to have that.
All right, Ian, I know it's been a long process. I think the fans have been really excited. I'm sure you've been excited here. How amazing has it been not only to debut 2 cars at Qatar, but finally get to debut an LMH in IMSA?
Yeah, I mean, it really is a dream come true to roll out Sebring for the 12-hour with this new Valkyrie Hypercar. I mean, it's the fans were screaming for it, and we delivered it, so I'm happy about that.
Of course, this is a development program right now, early days. We saw the cars in Qatar. They were pretty close, but there were some issues, as expected, right? So what is the goal for this weekend? Is it just get to 12 hours? Are there any targets that you want to hit throughout this weekend?
Yeah, I think first and foremost to get to the finish, right? 12 hours of Sebring is probably the toughest 12 hours of any racetrack in the world. And then, we're always learning. So every lap we do, we learn something new, So little problems come up that we didn't experience before, little gains that we figure out come into effect. But basically, we're just out there learning and building for the future.
So what has been the biggest difficulty of fitting, I guess, I wouldn't say it's a square peg in a round hole, but with the LMH car, it is built to a different set of regulations. So what challenges have you experienced trying to fit that into IMSA, which has been only LMDH up until this point?
Well, first and foremost, IMSA have been amazing in how receptive they've been to us, and they really want an LMH car here. So they've really, once you go through the homologation process, the rules were already in place to receive it. So yes, we had to do some extra wind tunnel stuff for them so they could verify it, but it's really been pretty seamless, from my side. The design side, yeah, there's a few little different tweaks on the car. Operating systems and scrutineering systems, stuff like that is different. But other than that, the basic 99% of the car is identical to the WEC cars.
Speaking to Alex, speaking about seamless transitions and the WEC cars, Alex actually mentioned something to me that was very interesting, because I look here and I see one car, and of course in WEC there are 2 cars, but Alex mentioned that he feels that this is a 3-car team. Whether 1 car or 2 cars are running, the data all gets shared. Could you kind of explain that process?
Yeah, it was very important for me to have one global team running the car. So, you'll see personnel from the WEC program here and vice versa, and everything we learn, every lap we do gets fed into one single database, and then everybody feeds off of that. So we learn something, we're not learning it in two different places. We're learning it, we're actioning it, and making the product better.
How amazing has it been to see the fan reaction to this machine? Because it's been off the chains.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've been around racing for quite a while, and I've actually never seen the kind of reaction and the smiles that this car has generated. So, I mean, it's for Heart of Racing, that's massive, because we raise money for Seattle Children's Hospital, so we like to generate a good feeling around the program, but to bring it to the fans and to bring the noise that some of them have never even experienced before, it's a great thing.
So tomorrow, the 12 Hours of Sebring. Of course, we're going to have a ton to talk about, as we always do at the end of 12 hours. The question is going to be tomorrow, can BMW maintain the pace over 12 hours that they've shown all weekend? They proved that they could win races last year. They proved at the Rolex this year that the races that they won last year were no fluke. But can they hang on? It's not necessarily reliability with BMW anymore, it's driver reliability. We had one of the BMWs stick it in the wall during qualifying. Ooh. So if maybe the BMWs won't be there at the end, could be Acura versus Porsche. I told you, I think the Penske cars are going to be the most strong tomorrow over the 12-hour race distance. Could it be Penske in victory lane winning their second race of the year? I don't know. I'm just going to keep talking. I think my mic's good enough, and if it's not, we'll re-record the segment. I think the Acuras are going to be the closest challengers to the Porsches over 12 hours in terms of their ability to race over 12 hours. Reliability, driver reliability. Those are the two things we're looking for. I think the spoilers, as I mentioned earlier, the 5th place starting Proton Porsche 963, they're due for a win. They haven't gotten one yet. And then what of the Cadillacs? Can Wayne Taylor Racing show a little bit of the magic they've shown in the past here at Sebring? The Whelen team had a bad qualifying today. They didn't even get a lap in. A mechanical failure stopped them from that. So can Whelen, they were dominant last year until Pippo Durrani flipped the car over. So can the Whelen team or any Cadillac show anything tomorrow? They could play the spoilers, but at least right now, in my opinion, it's going to be BMW dominant early, but really it's going to come down to Acura versus Porsche. But of course, all of that could be wrong. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you tuning in for my IMSA coverage, and I think there's going to be a little bit more coming in the future. We'll see you in the next video.